We've been reporting on terrorism this month from Beirut, Lebanon, and Paris. Full Measure correspondent Scott Thuman was one of the only two American broadcast journalists reporting from Beirut on the ISIS twin suicide bombings. So some media outlets were not quite accurate when they reported the Beirut attacks had been ignored by news programs in the U.S. Speaking of inaccuracy, this photograph circulated on Twitter appeared to be of the recent Beirut attack, but it turns out it's actually a picture that's been circulated for at least 9 years. Which reminds us of an exhibit of images that proves why you can't always believe your eyes. On a busy street corner in the Bronx, between bodegas and tenement walk-ups, a small museum is trying to make a big stir. Michael Camber runs the Bronx Documentary Center. He's created an exhibit of photos going back over 150 years that show our perspective of history then and now deserves a close second look.
This is a great, just an iconic photo from World War II. One of the most published photos of all time, actually. The photographer, Kaldi, was actually a Soviet Army photographer. He wanted to replicate Joe Rosenthal's famous photo from Iwo Jima. He had a flag made, he flew to Berlin, he got the soldiers to go up on the roof of the Reichstag. The whole scene is completely fabricated, it's just not a real event. I think at its core, we put this show together because we want to get the debate going about photographs. The generation of photographers in photojournalism that I grew up with had very set sort of rules and ethics and standards, and we're watching those just kind of dissolve in front of our eyes. From what I can see, it's just kind of falling apart. I want to have that conversation that this is something that's always gone on. It's fascinating that the very first photo that we were able to find from 1855, I mean, it's the original work of photojournalism. There's two versions, one with cannonballs on the road and one with no cannonballs on the road. Right in the beginning, they were already changing things. I would say the Iranians with the missile launch a few years back was hugely successful. Only 3 of the missiles launched, you can see here. So they simply cloned in one of the missiles to make it appear as if it was a successful launch, when in fact it wasn't. That picture ran all over the United States. I mean, it ran on the front page of the LA Times and other newspapers. Hugely effective, but in fact extensively manipulated and not a real true representation of what happened. We do think it's escalating, particularly we're seeing it with North Korea and Iran and a few other countries where they're putting out constant sort of photo propaganda. They're stage managing events. They're photoshopping leaders into places where they weren't. There were a lot of rumors that Kim Jong-il, the dictator, had been sick and even deceased. So they photoshopped him into this image and released it. And if you look carefully, you'll see there's a little line that runs behind everybody's legs. But it doesn't run behind the leader's legs, because when they photoshopped him in, they didn't take the time to sort of create the shadows. The shadows are also different behind him. If you look at photographs from Russia under Stalin, he was famous. I mean, there are whole books devoted to him taking out his enemies. As people fell out of favor, he would just have them taken out of the photos. I think that people are really just going to lose faith, certainly in photojournalism and documentary photography. I think once people see photos and say, I wonder if that really happened, or I wonder if that's been modified, or I wonder if the photographer staged that, then we've just lost all credibility. It really damages the profession, it damages the media, I think it really damages America. These are the OJ covers, and we wanted to show these side by side, Newsweek and Time. And Time took the mugshot that came from the LAPD and got an illustrator to really darken the photo and put this dark vignetting around it. You can see it's almost black here. It just looks really threatening and sort of menacing. And that caused a huge uproar. People all over the United States were outraged, and Time actually had to pull the cover and republish it. My best favorite bogus celebrity shot, it would have to be the Oprah photo. TV Guide did a story on Oprah. They put her head on Anne Margaret's body. Just a wonderful misrepresentation. Totally bogus, but really campy and kind of interesting. We're seeing it with a lot with magazine covers, and of course with anything having to do with celebrities and stars. There it's just accepted. People have to be able to believe in what they're seeing and know that this represents, the historical record, certainly in a news situation. I think we have to maintain the viewer's trust in photojournalism. We have to get it right. We have to create honest accounts of what really happened.
There were 3 other photos in the Bronx Doc Gallery. They were not part of the exhibit. David told us they're the photos of 3 friends and colleagues. Tim Hetherington and Chris Hondros, killed covering Libya's Arab Spring civil uprising in 2011. And journalist James Foley killed in Syria in 2014, the first American beheaded by ISIS. Reminders that neither freedom nor truth come without costs. Next week on Full Measure, billions of your tax dollars were spent to put 1 million electric cars on the road by the end of this year. You might be outraged when you hear what happened. If I wanted to buy this vehicle, what kind of benefits could I get?
Well, there's a $7,500 federal tax incentive, and there's also the state of Massachusetts has a $2,500.
So I could, in essence, get basically $10,000 off the cost of the car.
Oh, yeah.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks for watching. We leave you with a look at Washington in autumn and a big thanks to those who work hard to bring you Full Measure every week.